Hi everyone, Lisa here with a filing cabinet makeover today. This filing cabinet originally was in our office, but as we are having a built-in office in our new house, it's no longer really needed, but I thought I could repurpose it as some additional storage in my craft room. So it's a pine filing cabinet. It's got 3 filing cabinet drawers, and I plan to, because all my craft room furniture is going to be white, I plan to paint it white and do something a little bit fancy for the drawers. So let's get started. First I just gave the drawers and the top of the filing cabinet a light sand. I'll be painting this with my homemade chalk paint recipe, so sanding's not really required, but I just wanted to make sure I had a smooth finish to start with. So I only really sanded the drawers, faces and the very top of the filing cabinet. Once you've sanded it, just give it a wipe down to get rid of all the extra dust and any dirt that might be on the cabinet. And now for the paint. Before I started, I actually just gave this a quick undercoat. Not because it was actually needed, because you don't need undercoat or anything like that with chalk paint, only because I had a tiny bit left in this can that I just wanted to use up so I could just throw it away. And it was a Zinza 123 primer, undercoat and sealer all in one. So for the chalk paint, I've done a few pieces now using this homemade chalk paint recipe, so if you want to check out those videos, I'll have them linked below in the description box. But I've just used a regular interior white paint. This one's Taubman Endure. It's a low sheen white paint, and I've just mixed this with some plaster of Paris. So what you do, I get 1/3 of a cup of plaster of Paris. I've sort of tweaked this recipe a little bit, and I've found if I used a heaped cup just like this, it actually works out a lot better. So one heaped 1/3 cup of plaster of Paris and then 1/3 of a cup of water mixed together. I think it's important that you mix this together first before adding your paint. Just make sure it's all smooth and no lumps in it before you add your paint. So now I add 1 cup of paint to this mix and then just stir it all through. Should have something like this, quite a thick consistency. It doesn't have to be thick, but I just find that this actually goes on a lot nicer once it's about this consistency. And then I painted the inside of the drawers as well as the outside. And I think all up I gave this 2 coats of the chalk paint. So I had 1 coat of the primer that was already on there and then 2 coats of the chalk paint. If you were doing it without the primer, I'd probably do 3 coats of the chalk paint, just depending how dark your furniture is to start with. And you don't need to sand in between coats. You can do if you want, but it's not necessary. And this is after the 2 coats of the chalk paint on top of the primer. So now for the front of the drawers. What I've got for the front of the drawers, I'm using some PVA glue. It's just regular craft glue or wood glue that I mixed with water to water it down. And I've just got this piece of fabric from eBay. I think it was only about $3 or $4. I picked this one because it sort of matches the craft room type theme. So I plan to put this material on the front of each of the drawers. So what I did first is just lightly sanded the front of the drawers to make sure it's a really smooth finish. And then I've mixed my wood glue or my PVA glue with some water. There's no real quantities as such. I just basically kept adding water and adding glue until I was happy with the consistency. You will need quite a bit of this because you'll need glue to stick the fabric on to start with, and then you'll need some glue that goes over the top of the fabric once it's all dried to give it to seal it all in. I've flipped the material over, and what I'm doing here is just marking out where I'm going to cut out the material. I just use the edge of the pencil to create my line on the reverse of this material, and then just cut it out. You want to cut it fairly accurately so that you don't have much overhang. I just find it makes it easier rather than trying to trim it once it's been stuck down. So now I'm just using that glue mix to apply a even, like not too thick, but just make sure that you've coated the whole of the drawer evenly, and don't leave any big blobs under there, and make sure you get all the sides right to the very edges. And then I just lay the material on top, lining up with one side, and then smooth it out. And the good thing about working with material, it's a lot easier than working with paper, because you can just sort of pull the material up and smooth it out as you go. And it smooths out so much easier as well. And I just smoothed it out with my hand first. And once I got all the air bubbles out and it was fairly smooth, I then went over it with a rolling pin. If you've got one of those rollers, that they probably actually work better, because I find this rolling pin wasn't quite straight. So once that's actually dried and it had hardened, I then went back over it with another layer of the glue mix, making sure you get right to the edges so that it doesn't lift and fray. And do this to all 3 drawers and allow that to dry completely. Once it's dried, what I used here, this is like a rhinestone mesh that I also bought from eBay. I think if you search in the wedding accessories, it might be called rhinestone mesh, something like that. It's not very expensive. I think that whole roll was about $15, and there's heaps on there. And I just plan to use this around the edges of the drawers. So I'm just cutting rows of 2 off this mesh and measured to fit on the drawers around the outside. Now I'm just using some contact adhesive just to stick this trim down. You could also use hot glue, but I just find using this sort of glue a lot easier to work with, as it's quite a strong bond and you don't have to rush so much to get it all in place before the glue dries. the last step, I'm just replacing the handles that was on these drawers with some of these little crystal knobs that also, again, I got from eBay. You'll probably find most of the craft things that I use, I actually get from eBay, only because we live so remote and there's not really any access to craft stores where I live. But these were, I think, $8 for a pack of 10. And I've already used 7 of them on my daughter's desk, which is also a video I've done previously. And the last 3 I just used on these drawers here. Now, to finish off your piece, especially when you're using chalk paint, you need to finish it with some sort of furniture wax or sealant. I mean, you don't have to, but I would recommend finishing it off with some sort of furniture wax just to protect the paint, and also this waxing will help smooth out the finish of your paint. Because chalk paint can be a little bit grainy, this waxing step helps to smooth out that graininess. So you just rub this on. I think the instructions say to rub it on, wait for 15 minutes and then buff it off. So just give it a really good coating of the wax, all on the painted surfaces only, so not on the drawers where you've done the material, just on the actual painted surfaces. And I especially like to concentrate a little bit extra on the top, since that's going to be used more than the sides. Final reveal. My craft room filing cabinet. I just really like the material on this. I just think it's perfect for my craft room. All my craft room furniture is going to be white eventually. At the moment I've just got bits and pieces, all different colors, so I'm slowly getting all those pieces transformed. This is the first one for my craft room. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gives you some ideas to maybe restore some of your furniture pieces that might not be getting used. And check the description box on this video. I'll have links to other videos that you might also enjoy. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next one.